2020 was a bad year for spending time with people, but it was a great year to spend time with your car. This is the Gears and Gasoline stable, an assortment of mostly Japanese sports cars and sedans, some built to compete, others built to be unique. 2020 kicked off with Ben's 1997 Honda Civic getting a K-Series swap. This was not the first engine for the car. It started life with a D-Series economy engine, which a previous owner swapped for a Japanese market B16B. That engine, though a cult classic, high-revving power plant in its own right, didn't make enough power for what we had planned for the Civic, competing in grid life time attack. So the 160 horsepower 1.6 liter gave way to a 260 horsepower 2.4 liter, the K24 block with a 2 liter head. With almost a liter more displacement and 100 more wheel horsepower, as well as a host of suspension, weight, and mechanical grip improvements, the little Civic was ready to dip its toes into the competitive world of North American time attack. Immediately following the Civic's engine swap, it was my 2006 Evo 9's turn to get prepped for time attack. Dynoed at 309 horsepower on pump gas, I knew there was more power available with some simple modifications, and I'd need every last bit of it if I was going to wheel this 3,200-pound chassis to a competitive finish. The 4G63 engine received breathing, oiling, and fuel upgrades, and while it was out, the chassis, damaged in a wreck before I bought it, was pulled straight. When it was finally tuned, it made 365 horsepower and 365 torque on a Mustang dyno. The Evo quickly showed its potential at my first test event, a time attack event at VIR Grand West course, where it took first place in its class. Although it was a new event and nowhere near as competitive as grid life would be, it was still encouraging to see the car do a 258 on the Grand course. Our grid life season began with Gingerman, where Ben wheeled the freshly K-swapped Civic to a hard-fought 5th place finish. For years, both Ben and I have wanted to get FD RX-7s and take them on a road trip, but of course that's always been prohibitively expensive. But with prices on the FD chassis only going up and Advance Auto's willingness to indulge even our most harebrained schemes, we decided now was the time to pull the trigger. And so, Ben purchased his newest and easily most ill-advised project car, a 1993 Mazda RX-7 with a Honda K20 and a large turbo already installed. Not close to running, it was a project in every sense of the word. Shortly after that, I sold my beloved 350Z to make room and funds for an RX-7 of my own, purchased from our friend Dylan. Still Dorito-powered with a large BorgWarner S366 turbo, this FD was the antithesis of Ben's car, running, complete, and rotary. By now, Ben had taken part in his second grid life event with the Civic at Autobahn Country Club, which went significantly towards improving the development of the car. It was then my turn to try time attack at grid life, this time at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. My weekend was filled with frustration, battling mechanical issues in the weather, and finishing with minimal points. However, my setup had also been massively improved despite the poor result. Eager to test my newly dialed car, I drove the following weekend at my home track, VIR. Destroying my personal best lap time on the warm-up session, I unfortunately also destroyed my engine, with oil starvation from excessive sustained Gs killing my bearings. With all my money tied up in the RX-7, a mid-season rebuild was out of the question for the Evo. All our hopes would rest on Ben. Luckily, the Civic and Ben's lust for competitiveness rose to the occasion. At his third event, Pikes Peak International Raceway, through sheer grit, Ben scored the first and only Gears and Gasoline grid life podium, finishing third behind two very tough competitors. All season, Thorne had wanted a plated diff in his Civic to really make the drivetrain complete, and after his success at Pikes Peak, he rewarded the little Honda with just that. Its first test would be at Road America, a daunting, high-speed track that was about as far from ideal for the low-horsepower Civic as possible. Despite his horsepower deficit, Ben managed an impressive 5th place finish, easily the lowest horsepower car in the top 10. He also managed to nab his third front-wheel drive record of the season, moments before putting the Civic into a wall. Though the damage was minimal, with only 2 weeks till the next event, time was of the essence. All the while, we were plugging away at the RX-7s. Thorne and his builder Andy were working to get the K-Swap FD to a drivable state, while I replaced the wrap on the rotary car and dialed in the aesthetics. Finally, Thorne took the Civic to the last event of the grid life season, Gingerman Midwest Fest, where he showed just how much development had happened on the Civic by beating his previous best time by over 2 seconds and resetting the tough front-wheel drive record at Gingerman. He earned a hard-fought 4th place overall finish for the season, with no help from me or the Evo. With the FDs both at least in a running and driving state, it was time to take them on the road trip they'd been purchased for, and you'll see that road trip series coming very soon. So, what are our goals for these cars in 2021? The most obvious is the Evo, which is due for an engine rebuild. While now might seem like the most logical time to do big power upgrades to the car, I'll be honest, it was plenty powerful before, and I barely got time to drive it before I managed to break it. And since the Gridlife Street class requires OEM turbos to stay within spec, I think we can expect a very similar build to what we had for 2020, but now with more seat time. The Civic, already a strong contender by the end of the 2020 season, may be in for more dramatic changes this year. Although Ben was able to wring impressive results out of it, he was always down on power compared to his competitors. Class rules don't allow him to change aspiration, so it may be time for an even more potent NA build. The K20 RX-7, meanwhile, just needs refinement. Built to be a street car and a daily driver, that's exactly what the car isn't right now. It runs and drives, but it lacks polish and creature comforts. Dialing that in will be the goal for 2021, and perhaps eventually paint once Ben settles on a color. Speaking of refinement, the rotary RX-7 has a bit too much of it right now. Smooth and comfortable to drive on the street, I think the car will need to get a little rowdier going into 2021. All signs point to a Bridgeport. The car will lose drivability, but gain scene points, and sometimes that's what it's all about. And last but not least, Ben's Ford Escort ZX2. The car that started Gears and Gasoline was on the back burner for 2020, with most of Ben's time directed towards his many K-swaps. Personally, I'd love to see the car back on the road, or even better, on track for 2021, and barring any new project cars for Ben, that just might happen. For me, I've come to really enjoy rotary cars after owning my FD, and since the Evo and RX-7 have proven to be so darn reliable, it may be time for another. What would you like to see us do with the Civic, Evo, ZX2, and FDs in 2021? What new project would you like to see this year? What events should we come and drive? And if you're a fan of the Civic or the Evo, swing by our website to pick up some brand new merch that we've just released. Happy New Year, and we hope that 2021 is a great year for your projects too.